Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 81 today, and I am just going to say this as a premise to this video. I do have my son in the building with us, in the house with us, and he's a 2-year-old that is very stubborn, and unlike the last couple of times he has just been in the area while we've been filming, like the last couple of weeks, he has a temper right now. So we try to put Toy Story on, so if you hear that on in the background, that's all that is. He's also playing games on his tablet. I don't know what his, cranky odometer is right now. It's just kind of going revving and then going back down. So if you hear a grunt or a grr or whatever, or if I have to walk off camera for a minute, it's just that. But he should be good. He knows what we're doing, and it's not like he's gonna throw a fit. He's just irritated that we're filming.
And he's tired and won't go to sleep.
So we should be fine, but I figured that I would let you girls know, or guys know, what's happening.
Yeah.
Because we do have some fun things to share, especially on my side. My side of the table is just loaded. So it'll be fun to be able to just kind of get you guys catched up, but recognizing that we are still having to film under different conditions than we did all summer. So
yeah.
Just figured I'd let you know that, and without further ado, Mom, what's up with you?
Well, I did the 3 blankets, the 3 baby doll blankets last week, and I showed you just a small portion of what I was doing with our personal baby doll blanket for our house. But it's done now, and it's so pretty. I love the colors in it. But I finished the rainbow color. I just used it all up. In fact, I used it, let me see if I can just find it now. I used it all the way to here, and then I had to finish the line out with the border color. So yeah, it was fun, and it's gonna be nice for the baby dolls and the kids to play with their baby dolls and put it on as a lap blanket. Which, by the way, when I gave all 3 kids their baby doll blankets last week, they decided that they wanted them for their own lap blankets, and it works. So that's kind of a really neat thing. What?
Get the blanket to me.
Oh,
Here you go, Canyon.
you're gonna use it as a lap blanket?
Go wrap Woody in it.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, put the baby doll in it. Okay. Okay. Yep, you can use the blanket. So now he's using the blanket for baby doll. Let's hope that works.
If you saw that little action figure he was swiping across the screen, it's Buzz Lightyear.
So then I saw a video on YouTube, Ophelia Talks. She is doing crochet every day in the month of November. And she introduced some granny scrap busters. And I'm doing them only part of the way as she's doing. She's doing 14 rounds. I'm only doing 6 essentially. Including the first little bead across, it's 7. But you don't count, she doesn't count those. She counts the ones that start going all the way around. So, yeah, this is my first one.
It's really cool to do a granny in a different shape than just a square.
Yeah, and I get to change colors a lot more often. And I'm using up my small balls of yarn, and
It's so
it just gets them going into something that's really going to be useful later.
Is this isn't the same color as
No,
that, right?
no.
Okay.
And then
Is this the same color as this one?
Yes.
Okay.
So then I've got it in a different colorway here. Whoop, what happened there? And then I've got it in a totally different colorway here. So yeah, it's so fun, and you're just doing grannies, and you start out with a chain of 36, and you do your grannies into every third space, and starting the sixth space, or the sixth chain from the hook, you do it every third space after that, and it just turns out so magical. And each of these I'm going to put together into a whole blanket, but I can do 1 or 2 of these in a day, and it's been so fun just figuring out colors. And I started a new one today, and I asked my grandson, you know, what color should we do next, and he's like, yellow, like baby shark. So yeah, that's his introduction to picking yarns. His favorite character is anything yellow, but he loves baby shark, and he's just like, you gotta use yellow. So, okay, that noise is a little teeny baby stroller with his baby doll in it.
And he's about to go get the baby blanket.
Yeah, and he's walking the baby.
Yep.
So.
And then me being off camera was just me being an assistant grandmother to being able to get that baby in the stroller. So we're good.
So what are you doing?
Everything. Look at this glorious.
I know, all the beautiful colors. I love them.
So since last week, when starting off with my mother-in-law's blankets, I have gotten 2 extra squares done and accomplished. So I figured I would let you know number 8, number 9, and 10 is started.
And she only has to do 12.
So we're getting close to... Sorry, I'm just putting this away real quick. So we're getting close to the end of that and bordering it and getting it assembled. I'm hoping to have it done by hopefully before the 17th. So her birthday is the 18th of November, but the 17th I'm going to be gone all day.
Yeah.
And so if I can have it done by the 16th, that would be a weight off of my shoulders.
Yes.
On to my next big project. You guys saw where I'm at with the Godzilla from last week.
He's humongous, and he's got a corkscrew tail.
Yep. But I now have hands.
And arms.
Hold him. Okay. So I made arms per the instructions, and it only has 3 fingers and a thumb. And they have a bit. You have a bit of the outline of the elbow and the bicep. And I had to make 2 of them. But what's crazy is I told you guys last week is you can see this kind of like violin effect right here with the design of it. And I was really confused by the curves that the pattern required until after making the arms, and I realized that those were supposed to be the socket joints.
Yeah, that's perfect. Wow, look at that.
For the design. So obviously I'm not going to fully assemble everything until I have everything done. So legs are my next one, because my mom made a very good point. Have the limbs done before you make the fins. Even though they were telling me to get the fins done next on the pattern, I have a time limit. And as long as I have limbs done, even if my fins are not exactly what the pattern is, I am able to still get fins done and get it on the back, even if it's not the perfect pattern, to be able to give it to my nephew by his birthday in December.
And he'll never know what the original pattern was.
Right, but as long as I get this done, I have essentially gotten the main structure of this project done, the body and the limbs, and then I can do the fins. So that's my current update on that, is having these arms done.
Honey, we can't do that.
But
we can't do that here.
With the spikes, the way they wanted me to do that is it's supposed to be 2 different colors. The main body color, which is that nice dark navy blue, kind of like dark ocean blue.
We can't do that here.
And it wanted a like a sky blue start off the fin with the sky blue, then finish it off on the rest of the structure of the fin with that dark blue, and then you're supposed to embroider like this shimmery silver thread around the blue portion of the fin, the light blue portion of the fin, to accentuate it. And I was like, if I actually get to that part of the pattern with all the other things I have going on, that's going to be so intensely far down the line that I'm scared I'm not going to have enough time to do all the detail work. And I want to be able to still have that same effect that it wants the light blue portion of the fins to have without having to go through all the work for it. So, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do all that detail work. So what I decided I was going to do is I was going to try to find a light blue, sky blue color with maybe the shimmer, like silver shimmer strands that they have, and some flecky yarn, sparkle yarn. Couldn't find it at my local yarn store, but I was able to find this. I don't know if you can see, but it has the dark blue and light blue, a light blue and a white strand fully twisted together, so all the strands are the same mixture of dark, light, and light blue. I know it's probably hard for you to see, but if I twist the strand, you can see the stripes in it.
So it changes colors whatever way it is. That is so cool.
So it's three or four different types of yarns that were twisted together, and it's the dark blue, similar to the dark blue, the baby blue that I needed, and that white. And I felt like even without needing the sparkle, I can effectively do the fins they are wanting me to do with this, and it be the equivalent of the effect that it wanted, even if I don't have the sparkle. It is from Red Heart. It's a Super Saver yarn, and this is called
Lapis.
Lapis, L-A-P-I-S.
It is so cool.
I just thought that this was exactly what I was needing, and I was so glad that I was able to find it. So I figured I'd share that update with that project. And with that same store run, I found this yarn as well. The Red Hearts Super Saver yarn, and the Variegated Fall, which, I mean, come on, it has the oranges and the olive and dark greens and the yellows, the golden yellows, and just all the wonderful things of fall that I love so much. And I've decided that I'm going to actually do a project for myself, and I don't think I've done a project for my personal self in a while.
Yeah.
It's been projects for other people, which has been fine. But when I went to buy that blue yarn, I found this, and there's a pattern I've been wanting to do. And so I'm excited to show you. I'm going to be doing these fingerless mittens for myself, and it's a crocheted spiral fingerless pattern. And I'm really excited to do it, and maybe by next week I'll have them done. I'm not sure when I'm going to be inspired to actually pursue this.
I love it.
But I'm going to be doing it with this yarn.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
So, yeah, I'll let you guys know how this works for me, and obviously any pattern that I use, there'll be a link to it. So there's all that. I will let you know about it next week if I've started it, but that's my tentative plan. To the next thing, another tentative project that I'm going to be working on that just appeared in this last week is that my daughter has been having a bit of a learning her big emotions and figuring out how to deal with frustration and anger. And she's been now going back to school. There's been a lot of different adjustments and changes that have been happening. And so she was taking out her frustrations with screaming, just screaming randomly. She didn't want to formulate words. She is 4, and she does have a speech delay, so it's sometimes hard for her to stay fully in self-control and disciplined enough to just sit down and just say how she's feeling. She just bursts out and is reactive. And I told her, I said, okay, you need to scream, you need to get your energy out, that's okay, but let's go get a pillow and you can scream into it. And her favorite movie right now is Lilo and Stitch, and I'm like, do you remember Lilo and Nani when they were angry with each other? They didn't scream at each other without words, they screamed into the pillow. And I showed her that scene in the movie, and she went and found one of our big pillows and she screamed into it, and now that's her coping mechanism. She's been going to scream into pillows because she feels like that. And granted, eventually I want to get her into a more productive communication style, but just for her to feel valid about her feelings and how she is allows me to open the way to be able to influence another pattern. I want to be able to validate that there's a lot of change and it's really hard, and I'm really grateful for everything that she has to do, but when she's overwhelmed, we're overwhelmed. We all react. We're not all perfect, so I'm just grateful she's willing to scream into the pillow. And she's like, Mommy, I want you to make me a pillow. I'm like, you want me to make you a pillow? She's like, yeah. I want you to make me a pillow, an angry pillow. And I'm like, okay, I can make you an angry pillow. And so now I found some red yarn in my stash. I'm guessing this was some red yarn I got from probably either Karen or a Red Heart pounder. I don't know.
Was that left from the Santa?
I don't know. It could be. But I found it. And I was thinking about that angry emoji from the phones.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about maybe doing it that way, where I make a red pillow. I don't know whether the other side of the pillow is going to have a different face, but this one's going to have an angry face on it so that she's able to throw herself into the angry pillow and be able to scream at it. Again, this is a project where I don't know realistically when I'm going to get to it, but it is a potential current project. Obviously, you guys know I have already planned out to the end of the year the projects I'm doing, but these small little projects that obviously my daughter is asking for my help, and in a productive way, I'm very more than willing to separate some time to make 2 circle panels, embroider some facial expressions, stuff it, and sew it together. Yeah. That's an afternoon project for me. It's not like I can't take a day to stop and do what my... and help someone else. It's nothing wrong with me wanting to separate some time out and make a project for myself. You know what I mean? Like, we all have to kind of balance out how we give to what we can receive with our own gifts. And there is that balance. So, with that being said, obviously, me wanting to do these fingerless mittens were inspired by the mittens I was making my friend, and I don't have them with me, but they are accomplished, and I do have a photo of them being accomplished. And
she loves them, by the way.
And Amy loves them. They are so warm and nice, and they come up to just about right the last knuckle on the pinky. They're very up on the thumb to about the knuckle on the thumb, and they come down to about here. This is the photo of them that I have. Oh, it's kind of blurred out, but you can see the owl pattern. I can zoom into the owl. The saturation's kind of off. But there you go, you can see it, and obviously the wrist is nice and long, and the fingers are nice and long, and the thumb was nice, and obviously I had buttons on the active working yarn before I even cast on. I put those buttons on so that I would be able to pull them up when I needed to be able to have that already on the thread and not something I had to go back and sew on.
See, that is a nice tip too.
And this is not a pattern, so please understand that there are fingerless mittens, knitted fingerless mittens with owl patterns like this that you can actually purchase. I saw them, and I'm a visual learner, so I saw them and knew that it was just fancy cabling work at the right time, and I knew how to apply that to what I was working on, and I just did it. I've made fingerless mittens my whole life. When I first started crocheting and knitting, that's one of the first things I used to make all the time because it was a circle project and it was something I could do for fun with my friends as a young teenager. So please understand that this is a project that was easy for me to adapt with anything, and me being able to figure it out wasn't that I didn't want you guys to have the pattern. Easily look up a knit or crochet pattern of fingerless mittens with an owl pattern on it. You'll find millions of them.
Whatever your skill level is, you'll have a pattern.
You'll have a pattern for it. Obviously there's not millions, but you know what I mean. There are plenty of other people that have done this that you'll be able to find someone who can offer you a pattern. I'm sorry that I cannot offer it. I just don't write down my patterns. But yeah, again, just another close-up of the owl. It was so much fun to do, and like I said, the little beads, they're kind of not showing through perfectly through the photo, but they had a little gemstone. I think they were supposed to be flowers, with the centers having little gemstones and then being flowers, but they looked like irises to me, like an eye. Yeah. So I just bought these, and again, just another quick photo of the pattern of the owl. So she's actively wearing them right now. She's at work and she really loves them.
She's a cashier, so it works perfectly for her.
She's a cashier that works at a dollar store, and at the dollar stores, the cashiers are positioned right in front of the entrance, and it's getting cold here in Michigan. And so she keeps getting the first gust of wind because she's the cashier is closest to the door, and she's freezing.
And like I said before, she is a little woman who has no body fat. So she gets cold easily.
And as always, I had leftover yarn from that project.
Whoops.
I dropped something. Anyway, I had leftover yarn from the gloves, and I was like, Amy, would you like me to make you something else and make it a set? Now, I was doing this out of just... I've done projects before. She never asked me to make her some. She was just excited to hear that I could make her some, and she needed to pick me up because this woman's been going through so much, and she's one of my dearest friends. So I just decided to make her some gloves just to kind of make her happy. I'm like, would you like the ear covers, like where it's a band and it's covering your ears, or would you like a hat? And she's like, I would love a hat. So I've been working on a hat since you last saw me. But here's the thing, and this is the reality. Just because I'm good at something doesn't mean I am good at something. Okay?
She is good, but sizing may not always be her forte.
Okay. So she has a small head. I know it's...
And she wears children's hats.
Children's hats, right? So an adult size for her doesn't always work. So I'm thinking, okay, the pattern that I found for the hat that I wanted to make her was a free pattern. It was an intermediate free knit cable hat pattern that I thought was going to be nice to just transfer over into whatever we were making. No big deal. It would show off the ombre of the yarn well. Fantastic. The issue became... I should have sized the hat to the hat that she wears the most, which, Amy, if you're watching this, yeah, I took your hat earlier so that I could see this because I was comparing my hat size to this one. She wears this D&Y hat all the time, that, a store-bought knitted hat, and it's pretty small. It's not exactly, like I said, it's a kid's hat. But compared to the one I made, it's an adult size hat. I just didn't make it long enough. So I'm going to make sure that I clarify this. There is a repeat pattern to the way that this hat is, and it kind of implicates that you should just be able to put the hat's pattern into any sort of flexible sizing that you want it to be. So it's a one size pattern, but it wants you to knit to not a row number, but more of like how many repeats do you want, or just do it by inches. So I wanted the cuff of the hat to be over 6 inches long because it wanted you to be able to fold the hat up. But then she said, I don't want the hat to fold. So then I had to settle for a shorter brim. And I asked her, because she was with me when I first started it, and the brims take me no very little time. Daniel, shh. She was like, no, this brim is wide enough. I want you to get to the hat pattern. And I'm like, okay. Again, she has a small head, so I was like, that probably isn't that big of a deal. I only did 12 rows of the ribbing. But obviously, this cabling pattern is so pretty, and obviously you can already tell the problem. I repeated the cabling row twice before I started the cabling pattern to decrease. And I thought, well, the cabling pattern to decrease is 17 extra rows. That's probably perfect. But what I didn't take into account was that the doming effect that it would have on the cap would loosen its volume going this way. Just because we have 17 rows up doesn't mean that it's actually shortening up. And so obviously, compared to this, I'm literally lengthwise, I'm fully off by this much, which would have literally been easily solved if I had just repeated the pattern for the cabling section like 1 or 2 more times. So, it is what it is. I'm not even gonna let her see that I have to do this, but I'm going to have to frog it somewhat. Now, luckily with knitting, the best way of doing this is that knowing how the pattern repeats, I gotta go to that last line of where my pattern repeated last before I start the decrease, which is right where this point gets to this row. I can literally see it. And I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I was doing it on circular needles. I also had four double-ended needles that I was using as well for this pattern. I'm gonna get those out as well. I was switching between my double-ended needles and these depending on the tightness and how flexible the yarn was being, because when I was making this pattern, I'm not gonna lie to you, you can really tell how stressed you are by how tight your stitches are.
Yes, that is so true.
I was finding that half of the pattern was so nice and then the rest of the pattern was so tight, and it was because my hands were clamping up. And I had to keep telling myself, relax, relax, relax. I had to actually do stretches on my hands because it was causing me to tense up so much. And it wasn't the pattern. The pattern's fine. It was rather enjoyable. But again, all I have to do is these little V's, all you have to do is go into the V. So if you ever have to frog to a point and do a pattern back, I'm gonna try to do this backwards. You can see a V, and you just slip your needle through the V and pick up that stitch like that, and put that stitch back on the needle and go across your whole entire row right there and pick up all the stitches on that row, purled or not purled, and that way you know that when you frog it, it will stop at that point, and that's where you're going to be back on the pattern.
Right.
So don't feel scared that if you're having to frog back some rows on a knitting pattern that you have to start all the way back at the beginning. It can be very forgiving just to take that row and be like, okay, where am I at? And just take your time and find that row and take your time and slowly make your way back. And if you're not as confident or not visually practiced to see where rows are because you're still a beginner, everyone has to frog a pattern. Everyone's had to. But if you undo your knot and you just do it slowly and you're not yanking or tugging, where it's going to cause rows to go all the way straight down and rip a seam, just slowly let those stitches relax on their own, and you'll be able to go back to a couple rows back or whatever without that being too much of a problem. The stitches won't unravel on their own unless you're pushing and yanking and trying to straighten it out. And so next time you'll see this hat, there'll be a little bit more repeats before the dome happens, and it's a happy accident. The reality is it's not like I don't have plenty of yarn of this left.
Yeah, that's nice
and
too.
honestly, I probably could either make her maybe some socks or an ear warmer or something. I want to use all this yarn just for her in different ways so that she has this whole collection of stuff. But yeah, next time you'll see it, I will have redone my mistake and my boo-boo. It was a simple pattern. I got this pattern from a website that literally has nothing but free patterns. It's like,
that's nice.
I think, and I'll correct you if I'm wrong, this is a website that's called Yarnspirations, and you can literally go there and just type into the search engine pattern, something that you want to work on, like let's say it's a knitted blanket or a hat or something that you want to do, and it will pop up based on different difficulty levels, either beginner, intermediate, difficult, whatever.
Right.
Free patterns.
That's so cool.
The things that you're looking for.
I like that
And
idea.
so it was fun. Again, I have it on my tablet that how I do my patterns. So that's where I'm at. I know that was a lot of information I just threw at you. Obviously, my big main works, I'm really wanting to kind of pump these blocks out, because even if I have all the blocks done, that doesn't mean I'm done. I have to sew the ends in. I have to block them all. I still have to assemble them all. I have to figure out the row in which I want all the blocks to be in, and I want to... There's a lot to finishing this blanket still outside of just finishing the blocks.
Yeah.
And I have to mentally prepare myself for even that far into the pattern. But it's really fun to get this pattern done and have you with us. And the Godzilla has been its own working till its end.
Yeah.
This guy has been with us for a while, and it's going to be fun to see him go to his forever home.
Yeah.
And just these side projects, just how life throws them at you. It's cold. Make fingerless gloves just because you can.
Yeah.
We're going to probably be making socks at some point. Just Christmas is around the corner. I'm buying patterns to make Christmas gifts for the kids.
Yeah.
Just that angry pillow. Just, Mom, could you please make me an angry pillow? I feel like I'll feel so much better with that. Okay, sweetie, you can have your own pillow to be angry into. Yep. It's so much fun to have a talent and a gift that not only kind of helps me practice self-control. Like I said, when I get anxious and everything, it's such an easy thing to be able to tell that you're anxious or something with your hands tightening up with the stitches. It's such a good exercise to be like, I need to relax. I need to relax. I can see it. It's a visual thing that can be very meditative. It can be relaxing. It can tell you how you're feeling. It can really tell you whether you're in a good productive season or whether maybe I need to just lay this project down. It's good practice of self-love and accomplishment, and it's so much fun. I'm just so excited.
Gives you confidence
to be able to have this channel and share those things with you and just everything. So we're going to go on to the next stage,
which is our scripture of the week. And today we felt like because we're helping so many people, that we should pick out something that goes along those lines. So our scripture of this week is, help carry one another's burdens, and in this way you will obey the law of Christ. And that's found in Galatians 6:2, and I believe that's New King James Version. And I just love the way it's worded. Help carry one another's burdens. And in this way, you will obey the law of Christ. The law of Christ basically is love yourself, love your neighbors, or love your neighbors as yourself. And so you're helping other people walk this life. As you're walking your life, you're helping other people walk theirs. And I mean, it doesn't stop when you turn on the camera to make a video. You have to help your grandson because that's just the stage he's in right now. Doesn't want to take his nap. He wants to be with Nana and Mommy. And so he's here playing his cards and counting his cards and spelling out his name with his wooden letters and just playing with his zebra and his toy soldier. And it, you may hear him, but at least he's being quieter than he would be if he was running around the place. So, I mean, helping one another any way that you can is a way of showing your love of Christ and being Christ-like. So,
there was a sermon I once heard, and I know I've talked to you guys about this before, but it has something to do about the fact that Jesus talks about our comfort zone being either working against us or for us. So in the supper in which he comes, and he was placed at the right hand at the right hand side of the host and was being exalted, and that's a very special spot to be in.
In those days.
In those days, the way that you are placed in a party from the host represents your standing with the host, where you sit, where you stand, how important you are to the host. To either be on his right side or near the door, you were just let in, compared to actually being at the right hand of the host, sort of thing. And there was this conversation that Jesus had with this woman that wanted to secure her son's positions with him, as in like that tradition of understanding how important people are. She at that party was like, I would love for you to have my sons at the right and left hand of you in the kingdom of God. And he was just like, I'm at the right hand of the Father, and the person that will be at the right hand of me is still to be determined. You cannot make that.
You don't know what you ask.
You do not know what you're asking, and you do not understand what this is. And that's when he started to talk to his disciples, because his disciples were arguing about whether they would be at the right hand of him if it were to be him at a party, and him just being like, do you not understand? This life and the journey of life is not about winning favor as much as, don't just go having parties where you're only inviting the same people, only staying in your comfort zone. I want you to be inviting people that need you to get where they need to go. And that's not being used. I'm not saying that, but like God is over here kind of being like, you'll know if you have my heart if you celebrate in others' victories.
Right. If
you're a part of their triumphant story, that they're not just stuck where they are. You're not glorifying yourself as their savior, right? So like I said, my friend Amy's going through a hard time. She is staying with us right now with her kid.
Nope.
I'm hosting her and all these different things, and she and I at night have our downtime where we talk and we vent and we decompress and we kind of have therapy together and really good fellowship together. And I sit back and I'm like, I'm seeing the steps that I am personally helping her with to her victory. Even just having her in my home while she figures things out to her next step, what God wants her to do. As she's working through a very ugly divorce and everything that's going on with that, and just the steps that it's going through, the steps of me just knowing that I am helping her by just presenting a space where she is welcome, where I am willing to go outside
and feel safe,
where I have to take away sometimes my comfort in offering up my spot. Not that it's a problem, but I'm not saying that I am uncomfortable with it, but it's an adjustment to offer up your personal space to help somebody. And that's kind of this representation of even a party. Invite the people that you would not even think to invite, because you will know that you are having the heart of Christ if you are part of other people's victory.
Yeah.
And there's just something about how well this is even represented in just being like, help carry one another's burdens, and in this way you will be obeying the law of Christ. God loved it. Jesus, every single time there was a victory, it was like he was in celebration.
Yeah.
He was so excited to see everyone get helped, healed. The small things mattered the most. The woman at the well, everything that he did was just like he was embodying love constantly. And even him just being like, the point of a party and the point of inviting people and the point of all this stuff is not just to exalt yourself, but to be able to be part of the narrative of helping someone along their journey. You don't need to. It's not about you. It's about knowing how you play as a part of God's story and being able to help people reach their goals. And if you have the heart of God, you will want to help people. You will want to help people have their victory and have their testimony and help them reach it and help them be able to have their victory and be able to operate in being more than a conqueror. And it's nothing more than just even standing back. Like for me, it's not like Amy's not doing everything. It's just sitting there listening to her, offering up that room, offering up that space for her to get from point A to point B to point C to point D, and celebrating those wins with her.
Yes.
Being like, I'm so grateful to be a part of this. I'm so grateful to be able to offer you a space where you're able to work things out and figure out your victories and help and carry your burden with you, because I'm more than willing to help carry your burdens and she's more than willing to carry. And then that way we have covenant, because we're not covenant maybe, but we carry each other's yokes. Yeah. If Jesus is going to help me carry mine, I want to help if I want to be like Christ to others, I want to carry their burdens and help them achieve their goals too.
Yeah. That's exactly
and
it.
Again, it might not be necessarily a covenant where I'm making a promise, but I want to be operating in this.
Right.
Help carry one another's burdens, and in this way you will be obeying the law of Christ. Galatians 6 verse 2.
And it will be in the description area.
So, yes. I know that this video had some noises in the background, a bit of distractions, and a lot to share. I will make sure that my mom has all of the patterns I'm currently doing just to update everybody, maybe even the spiral mitten pattern, just so that everyone's up to date. I am excited to share what I have done by next week, and I can't wait to see what you have done next week. Episode 82. Yeah. We're getting so close to 100, it's insane.
I know. And almost 2 years.
Oh my goodness. So expect that at the 2-year mark we'll be doing another giveaway. It'll be fun. We're so excited, and my little one is just itching to have us be done with this. So we're wrapping up. We love you guys. We're so grateful to be able to have this time with you every single week, to be able to share where we're at and what we hope we can encourage you to continue to do. And as always, we love you, and we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.